So Formfacade, it allows you to enhance your Google Forms. The Formfacade has 5 products. So the first is for embed. So when you embed a Google form on your website, users can clearly see that it is a Google form. Now, if you use Formfacade, it allows you to embed a form on your website that blends with your website theme and it makes it look professional. An example of an embedded form would be, you can look at the support form that we have on our website. So this is a Google form. So when you embed it, it has applied the theme that we have. So this looks as if it's part of the website. When a user fills the form and then submits it, the responses are still recorded in Google Forms. And if you connect it with a sheet, it will be synced to Google Sheets. So this is the product that allows you to embed. The second product that we have is for UI customization. If you create a form in Google Forms, you cannot change the layout. You cannot change the appearance of fields. You cannot customize the message. The customize UI plan, it allows you to do all these 3 things. So for example, if you create a form, you can choose to have a single column layout or a 2 column layout. If you have a field, you can make a field as editable, read only, or you can even hide it. And it also gives you the ability to format the description, add a placeholder, and it allows you to do more with the basic fields. And the third is when a user submits a form, Google Forms allows you to add a message, a thank you message. Now, this thank you message is a simple static text. Now, there are cases where when someone submits a form, you want to show a customized message. For example, you may want to include you might want to say hi, name, which is an answer from the form. And then you may want to provide some details that are included in the form. Form Facade allows you to do that. In addition to customizing the thank you message, you also have the ability to redirect a user to a different page. So when a user submits a form, instead of showing a thank you page, you could take them to an external website, any URL that you would like. So that's a customized UI product. Now the third is the score calculations. When you create a form in Google Forms, you have the ability to enable the quiz feature. This feature allows you to assign a point for a question and mark the correct answer. This is ideal if you're creating an assessment where you're trying to test the user's knowledge on a specific topic where there is a correct answer, so you will get a point for it. But there are use cases where, for example, you're trying to create a lead scoring form. So depending on the answers, you want to assign different points for the answer choice and you want to calculate a score. So that's something that is not possible with Google Forms. Scorecery add-on is designed to make it easier for you to assign points for the answer choices and calculate scores. So when I say calculate score, you have different options, which is you could create a very simple overall score, which is essentially the sum of all the points for the questions, or you could choose to calculate section scores, which is you will be able to calculate the score for each section separately. Or, there are cases where you don't want to create sections, but you want to have one single page form, but you want to calculate multiple scores. In those cases, Scorecery allows you to assign a category for a question and then quickly calculate different category scores. The advantage with Scorecery is it's not just about score calculations, which are done in real time, but you are also able to customize the message based on the score. So that's the add-on for calculations. The fourth add-on that we have is for file upload. It's very easy to create a form in Google Forms and collect the data from your users. There are cases where you may want to collect files. You can use the file upload option in Google Forms to collect attachments from the users when they submit the form. The only limitation with this is the Google Forms file upload question requires the users to log in with their Google account to view the form so that they can upload a file and submit. So anytime you have a login, it adds the friction. So if it's a customer facing form, you might end up losing responses because users don't have a Google account or they don't want to log in. So the Petaform add-on for Google Forms, it allows you to collect from files from your users without login. Of course, this gives you the ability to collect large files with ease, right? Because Petaform has been designed to scale, and if you're trying to collect a video, you can collect a video file that's 1 GB or more. The last is the collaborate. When you create a Google form, you have the ability to enable the option to send a copy of the response to the form respondent, but it does not give you the ability to customize that response. nor does it give you the ability to get a notification with a copy of the response. Collaborate add-on that we have, it allows you to send a copy of the email to the users, send a copy of the response to collaborators, which is you and your team. And you can also set up your own Kanban board, which is you can create a flow and you can manage the responses, which is for collaboration. So these are the 5 products that we have. So I'll just quickly show you a demo of this add-on where you can assign points. And then if you have any specific questions, we can look at it in the end. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So what I've done is I've created a form with different sections, right? Now, most of these are multiple choice questions. So for the sake of simplicity, I'll start with the very simple score calculation. So once you've created the form in Google Forms, you can click on the add-on icon, click on the Scorecery add-on, click on configure score. You can choose to select a question type and then assign points, or you can just skip it and then assign points manually for each question that, on the edit page. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select multiple choice. So it's going to show me the different options. So I could say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what this does is it's going to assign 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a point for all the multiple choice questions in the form. Now, instead of trying to do it one by one, this is like a quick setup. Now let's click on next. Now it says, would you like to show it in the confirmation message, add a field? So I'm going to select both, click on next, and it says allow this add-on, click on proceed, okay, sign in. You can see that it shows the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now, similarly, it would have assigned it for each of the questions. And then you have a field which is added for total score. Let's just quickly do a test, and then we can come back and look at the other options. So let's do a preview. Let's open the form in a new window. So let me select 5, next, 1, 2. So I've selected the first answer choice for all the points. If I go back to the responses page, now it shows me the response and then it shows me the total score, which is 6. This is a very simple score calculation where I've calculated the total score by adding all the points. Now, if you look at it, you can assign points for each question separately by clicking on the gear icon next to that question. So in this case, I don't want to assign 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could choose to say this is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So this would be the points for this question. Now I can do the same thing for each. So here this could be instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can even say 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and 3. And it also allows you to have negative points. So let's say if someone selects not much, then we could have -2. So this could be 1, 0, 1, and 2. So it allows you to assign decimal points, negative points, positive points, right? So there are no restrictions in terms of the points that you would like to assign. If you look at the formula for the total score, this is automatically added by the Scorecery add-on when you set up the form using the wizard. The default formula is points. When you use points, it will simply add up the points for all the questions in the form. In your use case, you said you wanted to calculate the score for each section. So what I have done is I've already added a field for each section. This is a section which calculates the score for sedentary behavior. So click on the gear icon next to this, go to the answer tab. Now here I could say points of section. So I'm specifying the section here. So which means that it's going to calculate the score for all the questions in this specific section. Now let me just copy it because I'm just going to use the same thing for the other sections. Now you can see if I select this, I can see that it calculates the score for this section, right? Now let's do the same thing for code.
And it knows you don't need to say what section it is, it just knows.
Exactly.
Okay.
It calculates it for the current section, all the questions in the current section.
Okay.
So if you want to calculate the section score, then you will add a question in that section and use the sections formula. This allows you to change the appearance. By default, it's editable. You can make it as hidden if you don't want the users to see the score. Now, often when you're creating a form with scoring, you don't want to show the scores to the users because they always go back and change the answers to see how the score changes. So,
Okay.
it's better to hide it so that the score is displayed after they submit.
So when it's marked as editable, that's editable for them to change their score.
When you have a field, the field has three different options. So by default, this is a short answer question, which is editable.
Yeah.
If you want the users to enter an answer, you can add a field. If you want to automatically calculate an answer, right? In the case of a score, you will add a formula. When you add a formula, the field will not be editable. It will be read only.
Okay.
You can clearly see that if I add a formula and save it, this becomes a read only field. The one option that you have is instead of making it as read only, you can change it to hidden.
Okay.
So this is for the section score. So if you look at this, let's say if I select this, or maybe I'll select this, you can see it says 1.5. And if I select this, it's 2.5. So this is calculating the score for this section, right? It doesn't include the score for the previous one.
Okay. And it's crossed out because the user can't see it, but we
Exactly.
can.
This is for you. So
Okay.
we wanted a way to differentiate between a hidden field versus an editable field, right? So that when you look at it, you know which fields are hidden. So that's why we strike it in the edit mode. But if you go to the preview, you will see that it doesn't display the question.
Yeah.
Right. So users won't see that.
Okay.
So let's go back to edit. So this is the calculation for section scores, right? Which is, again, it's simple and straightforward. You simply have to say points of section. So this is one way to do it. Think of an example where, you don't want to split this into different pages, but you still want to have the ability to calculate different scores. So this is the other question that you asked, right? Which is how will the system know that it has to calculate it for which section? Which means if you do section, it's only calculating it for the questions in this section. If you want to have all the questions in one page but have multiple category scores, the other option is when you click on the gear icon next to a question, if you go to answer, it allows you to assign the points. You have an option called score category. So if you click on score category, so you could say something like, you can have a name for this category, sedentary. Now this is the category that we have. So you can see that this is the category that you added for this question. Now similarly, let's say you want to have a category for this. Let's call this sports. So it allows you to have a category for each question. So it doesn't have to be in any order. So you can have a category here which says, sedentary. So the advantage is when you have this, you are able to easily calculate the score across different questions. So is there a need for you to calculate a category score, or would you just create different sections?
Well, I did do it that way when I built my form, because I couldn't figure out using the formula codes. I didn't know what they were. So I did that. I made them all categories but then I just added the questions.
The other way to do it is, for example, in this case, so there are two questions, right? So instead of having this section, you can also do points of, let's say how many sports, and then you can put a comma, you can type at, and then you can do this. Basically, you can add specific questions to calculate the total score. The only limitation is anytime you change it, you'll have to come back here and then update it.
So can I do that though, but with the category, I can do
absolutely
points? Okay.
correct. So you don't have to do this. I'll show you the other example. So if you create a form in Google Forms, you don't have to go back and edit it in Google Forms. You also can add the questions directly here, right, in the editor. So let's say sports category score. Now you can select insert after, let's say, score. It's a text box question. Let's click on create. So category, come on, sports. I'm going to go back and let's say do this. So if you look at it, what I've done is, so I'm selecting 5, 2.5 plus 3, which is 5.5. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to calculate the category score. The formula is saying points, calculate the score, which is category, and then I'm specifying the category within quotes. But the category they have added is sports. So even though I'm adding it in a different section, I'm still able to calculate the category score by adding the questions that have been marked as sports. So let me show you another example. Let's do the sedentary category. Oh, so let's do this. Adapter, let's say create of points category. And the category that we added was sedentary, then close. So here it says 10.
Is there a space on your website or in the help section that shows
Yes.
me these quick fields to type?
This one. So if you go to scorecards.com, so if you go to FAQ, so you have both the one using
Great.
points, the other using formulas. So yeah, so if you look at it, we just looked at how you can calculate the overall score, section score, category score, and calculate scores by adding specific points. So this is about the score calculations. Now, the other thing that you may want to do is once you've calculated the score, you want to show a customized message, right? So if you click on the gear icon next to the submit button, now one, of course, you can change the caption instead of submit. You could have something like view results, or you can change the caption for the submit button. You can go to on submit. Now here you have 4 options, right? The first is the default option that you have in Google Forms, where it simply shows the message that you've configured in Google Forms. The other option is you can select show customized message for this button, right? Now this is a case where you could say, okay, maybe what I will do is I'll add a field in the form. Let's say add a field name. Let's add a field for email. Configure, let's add an email validation. Oh, okay, well, here I'll just show you the other option as well. This also allows you to customize the UI. So one of the things that you can do is, now when you say name, you want to give a hint to the user, right? So you can add a placeholder which says first and last name. So this is like a hint. You can also change the layout. So if you click on the gear icon next to the form title, you have the ability to change the appearance. So instead of a default layout, you can choose a compact layout and click on save. When you select a compact layout, it's a 2-column layout. Let's go back to the thank you page. Go to on submit. Here, so you could, I can customize the message. You could have something like, thanks for submitting the response. Or you can say hi. Click on add. When you click on add, it allows you to select any of the form fields. So you could say hi name. Thanks for submitting the response. Overall score is, and you can click on add and then select the total score. And you can also, show a summary of all the question and answers by using the response formula. So this is the place, if you look at it, it's no longer a static text, but you have the ability to customize the message by including specific form fields like name, score, or you can even show a summary. So this is one option. So I'll just quickly save it and maybe I'll just hide this as well.
So if the field is marked as hidden in here, when you put it in there, it will show it to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
So let's go to preview. Let's open a new window. So it says view results. So if I click on submit, now it says, hi, thanks for submitting the response. Your overall score is 16.5. And then it is showing me all the question and answers. You don't want to show a static message for all the users, but you want to show a customized message depending on the score. So if you go to on submit, now you have an option which says show conditional message based on score. So if you select it, it says conditional message based on, so we can select total score, right? So just for the exam, for this example, I'll just create like, 3 conditions, right? So when you click on create, so it says if the total score. So let's say if the total score is greater than or equal to, let's say 10. So you could say your score is this. And then of course you can, type any message that you would want. I'm just going to keep it simple and have just this. And you'll say your score is this. Scores, I could say scores in this range is indicative. This, and I'm going to save it. Now let's say add another condition. In this case, if the score is greater than or equal to, let's say 5, then you can say this, just put in this row, medium performance, and then the else condition could be a simple. So what we have done is we have created 3 different conditions, right? If the score is greater than 10, we are saying high performance greater than 5, but it's less than 10, it's medium, and else it's low performance, right? So let's click on save. Now let's try and submit a response and then test it. It is when your score is 8, score in this range is indicative of medium performance. Like if you submit, if the score is greater than 10, it'll say high performance or, whatever text that you're configured for greater than 10.
Okay.
So you can customize the message. So this is the second thing. And in addition to this, you may also want to send a confirmation email to the users when they submit a form. So you can go to responses. Now, if you click on the 3 dots next to this, you can set up email respondent. So this is for the users. So who should receive the email? You can select an email field from the form, click on next. You can customize the message. Subject, you can customize the message. And here, same thing. You could, click on add to include specific fields in the form. And you can set up your confirmation email. And similarly, you can also set up a notification email for you and your team. So it could be email collaborators. So enter your email.
And they're collaborators here in Formfacade, not collaborators on the Google form.
No, so when you say allow collaborators, it simply refers to the email that you're going to add here. So when you add an email, they're going to get an email notification. So
Okay.
they will be able to view the response. So if you want, you can add multiple emails.
Oh, okay.
And let's click on next, and then you can set up again. You can customize the message. So here, because this is a notification for me, I can remove everything else.
Can you delete the ones that are abandoned? Because I have a lot just from testing things and I want them to go away.
Right. See, by default, there are 4 statuses, which is abandoned, submitted, completed, and trashed, right? So if it's a test response, you can either drag and drop a response to trash, or you can click on a response, view the details, and you can change move to trash, and then you can click on submit. By default, you will be able to view the responses in abandoned and trash. If you want to delete it, now there are 2 options. One, click on the 3 dots next to abandoned, click on hide, in which case you won't see the abandoned status. If you want to delete the responses, what you can do is click on the 3 dots next to trash, select privacy, and say strict privacy. So when you enable this option, it will automatically delete abandoned trash responses after 7 days.